So, Sam, can you run me through your own personal Godzilla emergency response plan in as much or as little detail as you care to give me?
Hot dog, and I'm a coastal town.
You are wherever you want to be, but I guess Godzilla does come up from the briny deep.
And all right, so I'm a coastal town taking
Okay.
care of it. All right, what would you do? All right, I'd call up the police and be like, "What is going on, lads? We gotta figure this shit out." big, big dog's coming out. See, call the Coast Guard.
So the Coast Guards.
Get the life.
First
Get the
point of
life.
contact.
Get the lifeguards on the beach and have them yelling at Godzilla.
Are they gonna do a little? Are they gonna make a little chain, link arms?
No, they just yelling at him. Be like, get back, turn around.
Okay.
Turn around. First line of defense. They're just yelling at him.
Okay.
Telling him to turn around. Second would be...
What are they doing with their little red rubber thingies?
I mean, praying.
Oh.
Praying to God that they will survive this moment. Because I think our next line of defense would be a bunch of, like, ring cameras filming Godzilla making trouble. And everyone's going to TikTok about it. And everyone's going to soon realize that we don't like Godzilla.
So you're going to publicly shame him.
We're going to publicly shame it, but through a viral media. Because social media is how you communicate and how you control people these days. So I feel like we could send out enough bad content on the Ring video cameras that people have on their doors to shame Godzilla to the governments being like, yeah, do you know what? We should probably do something about Godzilla.
Okay.
And they
Wait,
just
you're the government.
shoot him. Well, the people are the government, right?
Okay.
That's the whole point. That's the whole point.
We're driving at something deeper here.
As long as you have the people on your side, it works. And I feel like you could shame Godzilla through social media that the government would be like, all right, we have to shoot a couple missiles at Godzilla. He'll turn around and everyone wins. Got rid of him, and everyone feels like they've done something.
Solved! Okay, so lifeguards, ring cameras, missiles. There you are.
There you are. The decisions are yours, apparently.
All right, good. I'm sure we can... I think we can carve something out of that.
No doubt.
Hello, friends, and welcome to the G-Spot, a place where we glorify and make a case for B, C, and D movies of yesterday and today that, despite being the monsters they are, deserve your attention, respect, and, dare I say it, love. And if you're curious, the G stands for Godzilla, by the way. I'm your intrepid kaiju co-host, Raymond, and I love all things horror, and especially old Godzilla movies with men in rubber suits. And I'm not alone. I'm here with my best bud and co-host, Sam.
I'm Sam. I very much enjoy schlocky B and C movies, but I don't know too much about the Godzilla franchise, and I'm very excited to learn about it because I've seen some pretty hilarious videos in the past. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, I guess the reason for this whole undertaking is to educate you on Godzilla and myself, because I have a lot of gaps in my Godzilla knowledge, and we are striking out on this quest to go back and watch all of the Godzilla movies. And
yeah, and like having watched the first one for the first time, I'm very excited to get into this.
I am too, and I'm very excited to hear what you think about it. But before we even get into the main thrust of the show, what is your history with Godzilla, Sam? Like, what do you know?
Yep. Not much. Mostly I'm a child of the 80s who grew for the 90s. So I know the late 90s Godzilla movie. But knowing what Godzilla somewhat meant, and then I watched the movie as a child, but that movie was terrible. Like, the soundtrack was decent, but that movie wasn't great. And then in the last 5 to 10 years, we've had the Godzilla versus King Kong movies, which were... I watched the first one, and it was decent. It was a good movie. It was very entertaining. But I knew watching it, I was like, this is not what Godzilla really is. This is just a very 21st century Hollywood perception
I believe we have both seen Godzilla -1, right? Okay.
Yes,
which
we did watch
I
that,
look forward to hopefully giving an episode all its own down the line.
Yeah, no, it's not terrible.
All right, good. Well, I think yikes. Well, that already sets us up for an interesting conversation down the line. I really like that movie. I think it did a lot for modernizing Japanese noise. Godzilla. But good. I'm glad we don't agree. Sure. So we'll have something interesting to talk about later. Cool. And like as a kid or anything, did you have any toys? Did you?
No, that's a really good question, and like it's hard to think. I've never been like surprised by Godzilla. Like I think it's always been a part of Western culture. I can't remember exactly when I first would have been introduced to it, but for a long part of my life, if someone was to have said Godzilla, I could quite easily picture that standing dragon monster creation without having actually seen the movie. You know what I mean? Like it would have been referenced in so many different kind of TV shows or news articles. You know, like it was always a relevant reference. Yeah, precisely. Yeah, exactly. Like it was always a relevant reference point, but only ever exposed to the Western perceptions when it comes to like movies. Yeah, never the Japanese, like the original.
All right, well, fantastic. I think it's a treasure trove of all kinds. Like Godzilla can be like James Bond. He can be pretty much anything. He can be a reflection of whatever's happening at the time. And the movies, they cover so much ground, from Godzilla being a terror to Godzilla being a pro wrestler to him being a defender, an antagonist.
What's interesting about that is, like, you talk about Godzilla being all of these kind of almost comical characters. If you only ever saw the 1953 or 54 movie, you would never imagine they would do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It comes from a very serious point.
Like the OG movie is like no joke. Like it's very sincere. So because I've seen a lot of like random Reddit videos of Godzilla where it's quite goofy, very goofy. I'm like, wow, that kind of goes against the spirit of the first movie.
I'm very interested for us to...
I'm looking forward to seeing those, but like the first movie is incredibly sincere. When you think you're watching a Godzilla movie, you just think, I'm going to watch a trashy, here comes the monster, it's going to make a lot of noise and destruction, and behold. But this movie has a lot of heart in it.
And we will eventually see those movies, but for now, as you said, I mean, this is sleeves rolled up, and we are dealing with a natural disaster. It's very much just it has a face this time. And I'm almost scared to start with this movie, honestly, because it's such a classic, and it's so like hugely influential and legendary, and it has such a large body of film scholarship surrounding it. That
is there? I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. After watching it, I'm like, there's so many good things you can say about this movie.
And I feel like, God, we can't, like, who are we, and how we can't possibly...
Yeah, precisely.
We can't possibly add much of anything of consequence to this discussion, can we? But we can. I mean, everybody already knows this movie is a response to Japan's being bombed at the end of World War II, and it's this wail of nuclear grief and guilt and trauma, and it runs throughout the movie, both literally and thematically. And there's this like 30-second vignette that's like 30 minutes in, where you might remember this, and I'm only saying this one part before we actually talk about the information of the movie, but there's this vignette where there's a lady just having a casual conversation on the subway with maybe her boyfriend. And she just casually throws out that she narrowly avoided being caught in the Nagasaki bombing, like in between trading just flirtatious barbs with her boyfriend. And she asks what would happen if Godzilla shows up in Tokyo Bay, and he merely responds, "It'll probably go after you." And it's such a short scene, but it's dripping with all this meaning and subtext.
And so, like, here's the funny thing. That's awesome. When I saw those scenes where they're in the subway, and it looks like you're in the subway, when I was watching, I was like, Japan is letting the world know that they have way better transport than you have. This movie is also a really pro-Japan kind of movie. There's moments with the Navy, and they do the montages where they're going after Godzilla. And it's just like, this is a really like patriotic, showing the best of Japan movie.
So when I honor and some face after World War II,
Yeah, when I saw them on the subway, I was just like, that looks fucking legit. And they would show modern Tokyo. I found it quite slick in production. So when I saw the subway scene, I was just like mesmerized by like how good it looked. But what you're saying, like, absolutely, that the banter, that's a very dark humor, like the banter of death, right?
We're only years separated from those bombings at that point. And off that very serious little preamble, I have another question for you. Subs or dubs?
Subs. Like, I'm not hearing English people. Fuck, no, Jesus Christ. Not for a movie like that. No, that would be horrible.
Well, I think at some point we should dip our toes into the dub pool and just see what's going on over there. But yes, I'm also a proponent of watching with subtitles. No, certainly
not for the first one. Could you imagine? Have you watched the first one?
I have a whole section of my notes here to talk about the American version of Godzilla 1954. Yeah,
I've heard stories about it.
I'll tell you a few more
but I've never
when we get to it. But okay, fantastic. So should we roll on this? Should we start talking about this legendary movie? I have some basic just stats about the movie. It is, for anyone who does not know, Gojira 1954, Japanese language, but there was a separate American dub that I'll mention later. It is starring Akira Takarada, Momoko Kochi, Akihiko Hirata, Takashi Shimura, and the man in the suit himself, Haruo Nakajima. It was directed by Ishiro Honda and written by Ishiro Honda and Takeo Murata, with special effects by Eiji Tsuburaya. It was initially released on October 27th, 1954, and ran for an hour and 36 minutes. And some trivia about this movie. So I feel like this segment alone could be its own podcast. This is far from a comprehensive list. I just cherry picked some trivia from here and there on the interwebs.
You did? Okay, great. The standard is high.
Yeah. So this movie kickstarted what is recognized by the Guinness Book of World Records as the longest running film franchise in history. I'm thinking not number of films in the series, but longest from first film to latest film. I think that's what we're referring to there. But it includes 33 Japanese films produced by Toho proper, 5 additional American films, which some of them have some decent stuff in them, I'd say, but maybe that's something we talk about later. Multiple TV series, video games, books, manga, lunchboxes, the whole shebang. It also kicked off the suitmation and the tokusatsu subgenres of Japanese films.
No fooling.
The latter of those is translated to just special effects, and what that refers to is just live action filmmaking that has a lot of practical, optical, or other forms of in-camera special effects. So, stuff blowing up on a little miniature set, actors tromping around on that set and destroying stuff. Everything we associate with old Godzilla movies, basically. Yeah, and we could even refer to it as the man in the rubber suit trampling miniatures subgenre. The film was originally going to be centered around a giant octopus, and It was
Right.
titled in an early working draft by producer Tomoyuki Tanaki as The Giant Monster from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. How do you feel about this alternate reality octopus Godzilla film, Sam?
So my kind of thing about this is like there seems to be a trend of what you just described, 20,000 League Under the Seas. Other movies, it just feels like there was a trend of like all the Jules Verne ideas, and they just kind of escalated somewhat. I don't think Godzilla is not a million miles away from the fucking 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. It is the same kind of creativity and like extravagance with monsters. The journey to the center of the earth, it's the same like thing. A huge monster shows up, you defeat it. It's just this time it's come to us rather than us coming to it.
That's a good point. Reconceptualizing it, they still kind of made the same or a very similar story.
But it is compelling. It's a really compelling story. And like you don't know whose
Plus,
side to
giant
be.
monsters are really cool.
Plus giant monsters are really fucking cool. And this one is like is insane. It's like you don't know whether to love him or laugh at him at points.
When his head just pops over the mountain.
Oh man. The first time you see him is life changing. It's like a touchstone moment. The first time you see Godzilla for the first time, you're like, oh yeah, snap.
Man. Oh my god. All right.
He is goofy. He's goofy.
Googly eyes right out of the gate. Okay, fantastic. So there's a famous moment regarding the pre-production of the film and its director. So Ishiro Honda, who I'll talk about a lot, and special effects director Eiji Tsuburaya, they were standing on the observation deck of one of the skyscrapers in Tokyo, and they were looking out on Tokyo and discussing what Godzilla's path of destruction might look like. Where would he go? What is he going to destroy? And they're standing up there speaking loudly about all of this mayhem. And people up there apparently heard these two guys plotting destruction of the city and called the police. And they ended up being questioned by authorities.
That's what happened when they were doing that.
I guess so. Scared some lovely old lady or something. And this was in Tokyo. So probably 1951, 52.
Yeah. What do you reckon it'd be like to live in Tokyo in 1952? Would you be scared of someone standing up in a tower if you were living in Tokyo?
Post World War II? I don't know, man. Like, yeah, I guess so.
I mean, put yourself in that person's shoes. You know what, mate? Maybe that was a fair shout. My world has been turned upside down by atom bombs, and now I'm seeing some fella stand up there. Yeah, you know what?
You're calling the cops. You've called the cops.
I'm done. I'm calling the cops on everything. Like, life has been... my life has been absolutely destroyed.
If anyone even looks at you the wrong way, you're calling the cops, huh?
Like, if my stomach is a little bit off because of something you look... Yep, I'm on her
safety
side.
First. Okay, so this movie was produced and released only 9 years after the U.S.'s atomic bombs were dropped on Japan, following up what you were just saying. And I want to remind us that these bombs killed between 100 and 226,000 people, and most of whom were civilians. It's had such a huge impact.
So I went to the Hiroshima Peace Park in January 2012. I had like 10 days vacation. I did the whole JR plan thing, like getting the trains across. So I went to I got on the bullet train from like Tokyo, went to Kyoto, and then I went to Hiroshima, and obviously took in the Peace Park when I went to Hiroshima. And you go to the plane, and then you go down into the museum, and you get to see all these kind of exhibits and stories. And you're very well versed in what it's like to experience an atomic bomb where you live, and what that would do to the people that happen there. And you leave it, and you have to be like, okay, so
what do I do with the rest of my
go through that
day?
And then the first people to come up to me are, there's a very pleasant group of Japanese people came up to me, and I'm like, man, I just want to apologize. And here's what they say to me. It's like, hey, do you want to, would you like to be a Jehovah's Witness? I'm like, gosh darn it, guys, you're just as bad as us.
Oh, they got you.
And I was like, yeah, they got me. I was like, ah, shucks. You weren't that upset. You get to see the watch. You get to see the watch that like stop when it happened. Fuck. It's fucked.
I can't even. I do want to. I think I want to go see it one day. I think my wife is a little scared of radiation still, though. I don't know. I'll probably go. Okay, so back to trivia. Ishiro Honda, again, that's the director of 1954. He was close friends with Seven Samurai super director Akira Kurosawa, who cited 1954 Godzilla as one of his favorite films, and he would regularly pay visits to the set during production of Godzilla.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
I didn't
pretty
know
cool. And
that's
this
pretty
next
cool.
piece comes compliments of a post by blogger/horror history writer J.A. Hernandez on the topic of director Ishiro Honda. He had a certifiably insane World War II career. He was drafted into the Imperial Japanese Army when he was 23 years old.
Sure.
His commanding officer, CO, for anyone who knows more about military than me, his CO was apparently, he participated in a coup against the civilian government, and he got their entire regiment sent to the front lines of the Japanese invasion of China, which is apparently incredibly dangerous at the time. Luckily, Honda survived his time there, so he could direct Godzilla 1954. Do you like my segue?
Kaloo.
So he survived his time there, along with 3 tours and 6 years total spent at the front lines, including a stint.
Are you shitting me? He survived 6 fucking tours in the Japanese military.
3 tours over 6 years, but still,
3 tours. Yeah. Fuck. Respect.
And that includes a stint being in charge of managing a comfort station, which.
Oh.
Yes, for anyone who does not know, that is a Japanese Imperial Army-run brothel of forced sex slaves. And...
Oh, the worst of the worst. You cannot believe what that means in South Korea.
Oh, yeah, in South Korea, of course. Mm-hmm. And so Honda, he was maybe, it's not totally clear, but he was also maybe imprisoned by the Chinese National Revolutionary Army during the actual dropping of the atomic bombs, so that delayed his return to Japan a little bit. He did not return to Japan until March 1946, after a mortar shell landed right next to him, but did not detonate. He kept the shell with him at home in his private study for the rest of his life. And he was haunted by nightmares of his time in the military, as I'm sure many soldiers of the time were, and later famously became a pacifist. So it's no surprise that we received such a tight and effective allegory in this movie.
That's terrifying. What a life.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And Sam, do you have any idea how Godzilla's legendary roar was created? Would you like to take a stab at guessing what sounds make this roar?
I feel like I may have heard this in the past, so I'm not entirely sure, but I appreciate that, like, back in the day they would, because I know with The Exorcist where it came with the girl's neck twisting around like 360 degrees, I know it's made by very simple material, but so I'm sure it's quite a mundane thing, the roar is, but I can't remember what it is.
So apparently the sound effects team was having trouble with the audio mix of animal roars. They sampled dozens of birds and mammals. None of that was really working. So the film's composer, Akira Ifukube, took, and you're exactly right, it's very mundane. He took a string off his contrabass and rubbed it with gloves soaked in pine tar.
Well, is that mundane?
It's a little more technical.
Maybe it's not. Yeah, well, I'm not sure it's technical. I think it's just like
let's take this string and rub it with some tar.
Insane, isn't it?
I'm gonna go to the next bullet point. Eiji Tsuburaya, who was in charge of special effects, he originally wanted to use stop motion animation. He loved King Kong.
Happy days.
And it was his own favorite film. However, stop motion animation was deemed too time intensive.
Sure. No doubt. Like, fuck, this is like 100 years
literally.
ago.
So their team, they decided then to go the route of an actor in a suit, which, of course, as we mentioned, pioneered and popularized suitmation. The original suit was brown, and it weighed over 200 pounds. It was made from, apparently, ready-made concrete. And Haruo Nakajima, the actor portraying Godzilla, he could not even move in this first suit.
There's no human that could move in that.
200 pounds, right?
That's
so they made a lighter
outrageous.
one and a long. They also made a top half and a lower half for scenes in the movie that didn't need to incorporate Godzilla's full body. And speaking of suitmation, the suit used for this film was so hot inside that Nakajima would regularly faint. According to interviews with Nakajima, temperatures in the suit went up to 60 degrees Celsius, that's 140 Fahrenheit, and due to the hot studio lights, they would often drain an entire cup of his sweat at a time from the suit. I don't know what they did. I don't want to know what they did with those cups. One of the special effects workers on the film is quoted as saying, "Inside the Godzilla suit, it was very dark, lonely, and isolated. Usually the person who wears the suit becomes nervous and anxious. During summertime, it's very hot. It can become hell in there. But Mr. Nakajima always persevered. He acted in the suit underwater. He was buried underground. He withstood pyrotechnic explosions. And through it all, he was always Godzilla."
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise. I feel like there would have been religions made around that man in other times.
Maybe so.
You know what I mean? Like, if you were to tell that story being like, oh, do you know what? This guy's also a god. Like, you could wrap a mythology
I think you
around
could
that,
too.
man. See, you can see how religions get made,
It's not
right?
too late. We can start it right now. And Nakajima apparently lost 20 pounds throughout filming this first film. Just a few more little pieces. Several characters in the film, which include Dr. Yamane. He's supposedly Japanese leading paleontologist. He insists that the Jurassic period was 2 million years ago, and that is off by 143.5 million years. This is according to IMDb. I can't remember that part of the movie, personally.
All right, good, great banter. Cool the fucking.
My next point here, I have some alternate titles for the movie from different countries at the time, and I want to hear which one you like the best. So in Spain, we have Under the Terror of the Monster. In Portugal, we have The Monster of the Pacific Ocean. In Czechoslovakia, we have a very existential one, Awakened Destruction. In Greece, it's called Godzilla, the Monster of the Century. Surprisingly on point. He takes that title and still holds it. Taiwan called it Atomic Dinosaur. I don't know which country this one's from. I forgot to note it. G Production. Just G Production. Yeah.
G Production. Wow. No, I 100% have to go with the Czech one. That's what Kafka would have chosen. What was it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Absolutely.
All right, and last section of trivia, we have to at least talk about it. Godzilla: the American one. All right, and if we do sound a little differently from this point on, that is because we had a small technical hiccup with our audio, and we needed to make some adjustments. But we are the same Intrepid Kaiju co-hosts. And I want to jump to now the black eye on the early parts of this franchise, Sam. The Godzilla American remake. I'm going to call it Godzilla: the American one, but its real name is Godzilla King of the Monsters. And
when was this one created?
So it came out in 56, so 1956.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Because my mind is purely on that late 90s American movie.
Oh, yes. I mean, there's... Yeah. Well, we have plenty of American shitfests to talk about. down the line. But for now, the 1956 Godzilla King of the Monsters. And this is an Americanized rendition of the 54 original. It has a heavily reworked story and additional footage. And this was produced by Jewel Enterprises. And I believe this is a small indie studio at the time. The Toho original was acquired by a fellow named Edmund Goldman in 1955, and he is a co-founder of Manson International, which was an independent film distributor cum production company. And he acquired 1954 Godzilla for a scant 25 grand, which apparently Toho was all too happy to accept. He worked with a team of writers and producers to revise the film for American audiences. So we have our first instance here of a mostly dubbed Godzilla movie.
Right. Okay. So it's not like they've just reshot it with Americans and based it in San Francisco. It is the original movie.
It is the original movie. Right. And it is cut. And now that you mention it, they did insert an actor, a Canadian actor named Raymond Burr. And he is...
sounds familiar.
I was unfamiliar with this guy until I reread the information about this. I believe I've seen bits and pieces of it over the years, but never the whole thing. And the idea there was Raymond Burr plays a reporter who is sent to Japan to cover Godzilla's rampage for whatever news outlet.
And like journalists are, pretty central to this movie, right? So he's Perry Mason. I know.
Really?
Yeah, he's Perry Mason.
I didn't know that. Oh,
so
wow.
that's interesting as well, because Perry Mason is what is he? Is an investigator, or is he like I can't remember. He's like a lawyer.
I thought he was a lawyer, right?
Yeah, but it's similar kind of functions, right? Find the truth, get to the truth of things.
I mean, shocking to audiences of the time to see Perry Mason going toe-to-toe with Godzilla.
Absolutely. Yeah, but that's the beauty of the golden age of cinema, or whatever it's called. Yeah, worlds colliding there.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and I mean, they accomplished all of this through mostly voiceover narration by Burr's character, but this
is no different to what's it called, Power Rangers, right? We're just going to take all the footage from Japan and then slap some American or North American.
Yes, we're going to insert all the Angel Grove scenes with the kids. Yeah, exactly that.
I had no idea about that either when I was watching it growing up. It blew my mind. I thought it was all legit, and I was like, oh, absolutely conned me, guys.
I don't know if does that take away from Power Rangers' legacy to learn that it's repurposed footage, or does it make it that much better?
Well, it definitely first of all makes you just question if you ever know what the truth is. I think that you grow. It teaches you to have trust issues, but you can still look back at it and be like, no, that was still a very enjoyable product. But 100%, it's one of those lessons where it's like, oh, I'm very naive, or I'm very gullible,
True.
You need someone to hold that mirror up to you sometimes. Power Rangers did it.
True. So this is, the Santa Claus Easter Bunny thing all over again.
yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
That sort of system shock, yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so they put Raymond Burr into this movie, mostly through voiceover narration. Also, new footage with Burr himself interacting with body doubles, Japanese-American stand-in actors, and other forms of camera trickery to make him seem like he was part of the original production. And there's conflicting reports about how much time Burr spent on set of the remake. Either it was 6 days of work, or, according to him, in past interviews, it was a single non-stop 24-hour day of shooting, for which he was reportedly paid $10,000 US. I have trouble imagining a 24-hour day of shooting and the logistics of that.
I'm sure we struggle to imagine what it's like to be Raymond Burr for 24 hours. I can see I could see it.
You have a fair point.
You and I work in a world of structure and routine for sure.
Yeah.
I could see Hollywood very much just being like, "Come on, let's get this done. Here's your money." And
Yeah.
yeah, but
Here's
it's
your 10 grand.
regardless, either option speaks to we're just churning this out. We just need to get this done, rather
True.
than any kind of artistry, I suppose.
True. We're just going to make our own version. And concerning that
Quick.
that version and that process, one of the re-release's producers, Richard Kay, is quoted as saying, "We weren't interested in politics, believe me. We only wanted to make a movie we could sell. At the time, the American public wouldn't have gone for a movie with an all-Japanese cast. That's why we did what we did. We didn't really change the story. We just gave it an American point of view."
Yeah, no, I totally buy that. It's business. You can tell by the way they just buy it from Toho. Toho happy to sell it.
Yep.
Raymond's doing it in a day. This is clearly, just a good money making opportunity. And,
Absolutely.
And it speaks, and like it's interesting how like both of these things speak to the time it was made. They don't want an all Japanese cast. You couldn't make that argument today. They don't want to include the nuclear elements, right?
Right.
Completely different world of politics
We
around
caused
nuclear,
it.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. And like, yeah, so why question it? So yeah, it's rather mundane, but it certainly kind of, it reminds us of the period it was created, right?
Yeah, and again, I haven't seen the remake, but I imagine that the allegory, the whole nuclear allegory, is probably pretty washed out.
Oh, it's a monster movie, right? Like, that's all it's going to be.
Yeah, exactly. And so I do have a little information about its release in the U.S. It came out in April 1956. It grossed $2 million off of a reported 100,000 production budget, which is a huge return,
That's
especially
amazing.
for the time. It was met with tepid critical response, but it did introduce Godzilla to American audiences, and yeah, 2 million is nothing to sniff at the time. It was apparently the fourth foreign film at that time to break $1 million at the U.S. box office.
So it's still being described as a foreign movie, is it? Yeah.
I think so.
What year was that, sorry?
Or it's at least categorized as a foreign film. And
Yeah.
this was 1956, 2 years after the original. But would you care to hear what horror film historian and blogger J.A. Hernandez what he said of the 1956 remake? His
I've
thoughts?
never turned down a J. Hernandez comment in my life. I'm not gonna start. I'm not gonna start today.
Not starting
Please.
now.
No, please.
He said this is an 80-minute long shit show stripped of all its meaning.
Well, isn't that basically what the producers said, right?
Bit of a gut punch from Hernandez. Yeah, I suppose.
I don't think so. I think that's
No?
just another way of describing what the producers said, right? Like, yeah, I mean, 80 minutes, whatever.
Different lens. Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't really matter. But like, as the producer said, like, we're not interested in politics, and we're not interested in the ethnic and nuclear side of that politics. We're just making a movie. Like,
Sure.
like, I think Hernandez, like, he's definitely seeing it through a different lens. I think.
Yeah.
Different priorities, I suppose. Different priorities.
True. And yes, he's coming at it from a modern viewpoint.
I think they could get along. I think those two people could get along. The producer and the blogger.
Let's rig up a time machine and make that happen.
Yeah. Like, finally, there's a podcast.
So, I haven't seen this. You haven't seen this.
No.
I think as part of this journey, yeah, we'll probably have to pay a visit to this particular weird corner.
Happily.
Well, that wraps up my trivia section. Shall we talk about this movie?
Please, absolutely. And it's a great movie.
Yes, I totally agree. And Sam, before I hear your thoughts about it, could you give me an elevator pitch for
I will do my best.
Godzilla 1954? What is this
So
movie
if I was,
about?
if I was to pitch this to a 1950s American audience, imagine a full Japanese cast. All of your concerns about nuclear weapons summarized in a beautiful metaphor involving a large lizard that destroys an IKEA-based Tokyo. No, it's a monster movie set in Japan. with a very upset lizard wreaking his revenge on humanity and the precocious use of nuclear weapons. But it's a beautiful metaphor of the dangers and the experiences of nuclear weapons. But it's a monster movie. You're going to see destruction. You're going to see an IKEA set get blown up. You're going to see toy tanks come at him with full force. And you are going to see Godzilla's head rise over the horizon and steal your heart.
Which we have to talk about. But first, ding, you are on the ground floor. That was a great elevator pitch.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so the movie, Godzilla 1954. Yeah. Can you set the scene for your first watch experience? I hope you don't mind my saying, I do remember you sending me I think admittedly inebriated text saying, this is terrific.
I think the thing that stood out when I wrote that message, I don't want to skip right to the end, but Godzilla's death throes. The first thing that stands out for me, I guess when I watch movies, especially old movies, I try and base myself on like the audience watching it. The title scene, the title credits, I might have a very rose-tinted not nostalgic, but like historical lens on, but I imagine it was mind-blowing. It certainly seems to me that would be mind-blowing to see those title credits in a theater. In the same way that you might think of like the Terminator, like if you hear that with
hearing the first chords of the theme,
and just how kind of like powerful, cinematic sense that is, because you get quite pretty dark, perhaps, credits, and to the soundtrack, you hear that constantly through the movie.
That theme song is so legendary, and they still use it in the American remakes today.
Understandably, because it's hammered home to you through the movie. But the thing that really stands out is you are straight away introduced to Godzilla's screech and
the roar.
Yeah, the roar. Yeah, and I think roar I think it's more of a screech. It's so grating and kind of high-pitched, I suppose. But it's shocking, it's jarring, and it's a really nice, it really just straight away sets you up for what's going to come, rather than just, some kind of typical soundtrack. It's a really interesting introduction. And it's just very stark, Japanese hiragana or kanji names with black and white and just this screeching noise going on. And again, I just, you want to be in the IMAX experience for that, you know what I mean? It's an awesome sound.
To be in the audience when that first released, or even to sit in a theater for a remake. Like I believe we hear footsteps as well. Maybe?
Okay, yep.
Some booming footsteps.
Heavy bass, yep.
Yeah, and yes, the Toho logo, it's still, every time I see that logo, I get excited. You hear the roar, you hear the footsteps or screech, and that theme song, all during the opening credit crawl. And I just feel such glee when all of those elements come together.
It does make me wonder if, I'm imagining it as like it's such a novel, unique moment. But I wonder if there were precursors to this in Japanese cinema or what have you that kind of predate Godzilla. But it's if other movies prior to this had, used similar kind of sound effects or introductions.
Maybe so. Other maybe non-kaiju monster movies or something.
Yeah, right. Because it's easy to kind of look at it through without all of the context of 1950s Japanese cinema. Right. But
I wonder if King Kong did something similar, because I believe that predated.
Oh, big time, right? Is that 20s? I can't remember how old that one is. Regardless, it's an incredible intro.
Fantastic. And so you liked the movie overall?
Oh, yep, absolutely. Yeah. It's I suppose the one thing that stood out to me is that it's a real movie. It's genuine cinema. It is not, we kind of talked about these Megalodon movies. It is not whatsoever tongue-in-cheek or...
No.
I wouldn't even... No part of it is cheap or budget, frankly. And going into like this series of podcasts, I haven't seen any Japanese Godzilla movies prior to this first one. I have seen one or two of the American ones recently, but I have seen these kind of GIF clips of other Godzilla versus blah blah movies.
Yeah.
And those presentations from those short gifs alone speak to a very different kind of meaning and soul to those movies that this Godzilla movie doesn't seem to share. This is a very sincere piece of movie making.
Yeah. And I think we
like,
mentioned it briefly earlier, but Godzilla wears many
Yeah.
masks and becomes many different things to audiences at different points in time.
And that's kind of presented through his interactions or the reactions from other. And like you could chuckle at the presentation of Godzilla themselves in this movie.
Yeah.
But I think that would be pretty harsh to do that to Toho.
Right.
Because I mean, they obviously don't have all the
Well, let's
gizmos. Yeah.
We definitely need to talk about his first moment on screen because what a doozy.
It is. It's a hell of an introduction.
But maybe even before we get there, the miniatures, just throughout the movie, even before we see Godzilla, we see miniature boats,
Ships.
we see a miniature fishing village. I even paused the film when I saw the miniature of the fishing village during the rainstorm. It made me want to just look closer at it. The miniature work is stunning in this movie. And the black and white picture, the grainy film quality, that all makes those miniatures that much more believable.
Yeah, 100%. There is an odd thing about humans and miniatures. Like, we do love these dioramas, don't we?
They're so nice to look at.
Yeah. But yeah, there are moments.
And conversely, to blow up.
Yeah, that's right. What is it with humans, right? We love small things and then blowing them up.
Yeah.
There are moments, I'm thinking towards the end of the movie when they're on the ship trying to deal with Godzilla, where it does look a bit kind of, that's me playing with my toy ship in the bathtub. And there are other moments when the tanks come out where just because the way they move, it's clearly they're in a string and they're being pulled along, that it kind of, it takes you out of it sometimes. But for the most part, I think, their use of miniatures is pretty compelling and it's well done and adds to the atmosphere for sure. Like, and it doesn't hurt. I think the other benefit we have is that obviously Japan to us is fairly exotic, so the style of the buildings, right? It's all pretty compelling for a Westerner to see these things.
Right, we're seeing unique architecture.
Yeah, exactly. Not our brick and mortar kind of stuff. Yeah.
Right, not the boxes we're used to.
No, that's right.
It's interesting because the first 20 or so minutes of the movie, they're not really following one main character. They're these just short little vignettes of various groups of people who are involved with or affected by the first couple of boat crashes. There are people living in this fishing village. There's a salvage boat operator, or I believe the somewhat main character is he's a Marine. His girlfriend. We see a reporter trying to get information from the fishing village. We see a religious ritual. There are all these little vignettes, and it's less a movie about a character and more about a place being affected by a disaster.
I'm with you. I don't think it's until they have the kind of government meeting. I don't know how you describe it.
The boardroom.
Yeah, the boardroom kind of meeting.
I wrote in my notes harried committees.
Yeah, committees. Oh yeah, it's a committee meeting. That's not a terrible way of describing it. It's not really until then that you feel like there is not necessarily a protagonist, but we do have a focal point around the scientist, Dr. Yamane.
Yes, that's very true.
Prior to that, you do get these contrasting moments of kind of modern day Tokyo and then the fishing village, which is very much being used to kind of represent traditional Japanese kind of customs and traditions.
Right, that's true. Especially with the shamanistic ritual and everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Trying to ward it off Godzilla.
Like the elder fisherman, I guess. The
man with 3 teeth. Old 3-teeth
grizzled,
Henry.
the grizzled vet. I think at one point he even says like, "Don't laugh at my traditions," to one of his fellow kind of community members.
Yeah.
But yeah, the
That's a good point.
they want to do something which Japan has always wanted to do, which is modernize but keep its traditions at the same time. The kind of friction that happens when those two worlds kind of meet. So, but you're right. It we get the original kind of ship at the beginning goes down, then we get the kind of hurried SOS signals coming through, and then a gentleman comes aboard the island on a raft. And it's all of these kind of vignettes which somewhat tie together, but there's no focal point until you get to that committee meeting.
Right.
Perhaps.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up, because it's interesting seeing all these people, these harried committee members, trying to just make sense of all this. The government chambers they're in. I love those boardroom scenes, seeing all their paper, their charts and things on the walls, and you get these people trying to like make itemized lists of losses and damages. They're bringing in various experts from different fields, including Dr. Yamane, which you mentioned. Yamane. And they're all just trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. How do we respond to this?
And that's sorry. I think that's the ultimate question of this movie is how do you respond to this?
Yeah.
And Dr. Yamane is very much.
Well, I quite liked your plan to embarrass Godzilla on social media. That's a pretty solid
That's a good one.
Pretty solid response.
Yeah. Just cancel Godzilla.
Yeah.
So he's very much, we should study Godzilla for its survival, ability to survive. Because his argument is that it's been awoken by H-bomb testing.
Right.
And those tests have destroyed its natural environment, and now it's woken up. And he's very much, we should study its ability to survive such an effect. And then everyone else is, but at what cost?
Right.
So I think, that's the kind of the heart of the movie is, do you study this or do you deal with it in a more aggressive manner?
Do you
that's the question.
Do you treat this living creature as a living creature, or a force of nature, or a disaster to be conquered?
Right. So and I think
there's even a line.
Yeah.
Sorry, there is a line midway through the movie. I'm trying to find it in my notes, where they say Godzilla was baptized in the fire of the H-bomb. So poetic. I love that line.
Right, and I assume you're not going to get lines like that in future movies.
No.
But I think it speaks to almost perhaps your political leanings, depending on whose side you go on, right? Are you the reactionary realist of like, we have to deal with this by any means necessary, or the more kind of like, this should be studied and we should figure this out gently? The other thing that's really important about this committee meeting, and again, without the context of 50s cinema and prior to that, is the presentation of Dr. Yamane. He comes up, he's the scientist, the academic, his jacket's a bit off, his tie's sticking out. He is very much the I don't care about my appearance scientist. I'm just here to speak truth to power, and like I don't care who I upset with this.
Right. I wonder how
he's much more respectful, but he's. I think that's the trope that's being presented here.
And I wonder, is this the origination of that trope?
Yeah.
How early on when did we first receive the beleaguered, the sloppy scientist?
Yeah, because I think, is it The Day After Tomorrow? I'm not sure if it's that one in particular, but you'll see a lot of like apocalyptic movies where the scientist is he's clearly not a military person. He's just a civilian kind of. Again, maybe the rose-tinted lenses of
he dressed himself.
Intro sounds. Yeah, right, and it wasn't important to
10 seconds. His socks don't match. Yeah,
and wearing a tie was a passing thought, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think perhaps with the Screech, I'm using kind of rose-tinted lenses, being like that must have been the first time, and it must have been incredible. So perhaps that it was a well done trope.
People
already.
cheered for him when he walked out
That's right.
on
yeah.
the set, on
But
the screen.
it's interesting to see that trope in a 50s
Yeah,
kind of context, anyhow.
for sure.
But I'll certainly speak about that scene again later. But it's a good scene. It kind of sets up the narrative. Do we leave him alone, or do we go at him? The other thing that's important is you don't get a choice. These people are trying to control the uncontrollable, right? They're making lists. They're trying to make decisions. But Godzilla's going to choose for you, basically.
Right.
Like this, whether you want it or not, this is coming for you, and that's going to be the thrust of your kind of decision making.
Sure. And during his presentation, during the Good Doctor's presentation, we get introduced to arguably the second and only other kaiju in the film, if we even want to call it that, which are these trilobites that have been found in Godzilla's footprints.
That's the evidence, right?
Prehistoric
that's the evidence of
trilobites.
his age. Yeah, that's right. And those trilobites are purely there to provide evidence that Godzilla is an ancient being.
Right.
From the Jurassic period. Like a dinosaur. That's what they're there for, right? They're to prove his age, whatever.
Right. And it's not too long after this that we see Godzilla for the first time.
That's right. They go to the island. You see men in scientific things, kind of like E.T., and they're doing Geiger counters, checkings in the footprints, I believe.
And that footprint, or I'm not sure if this is the same scene where we see Godzilla's like trail into the ocean or not, but
that's the very end.
Okay.
Yeah, so you have the interaction with Godzilla. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. I mean, that shot to me, wow, it looks amazing. It looks real, or at least within the world of the film, it looks real.
Yep.
I was blown away by that particular image. What I was not blown away by, I mean, I was blown away in a different way.
In a different way
By the, not a full man in a rubber suit just yet, but a hand puppet.
Yeah.
That emerges over a hilltop in the distance.
It's hard to describe it and do it justice.
Oh, googly eyes. Squished head.
Part of me's thinking, like, imagine buying an old dog toy from a yard sale.
It does look like a dog toy.
Of a dinosaur.
It looks like he was chewed on by a dog.
Yeah. We kind of think of Godzilla as being this absolute unit, like just monstrous, and it seems like he's a bit kind of weedy. From this first interaction, I don't know how you describe that type of filming. Is it Harry Houseman, the American dude, who would have it kind of like...
Who did the stop motion stuff?
Stop motion stuff, but it's clearly like a real kind of setting.
Yeah.
Based outside, and then you get superimposed in the horizon. The Godzilla's kind of head and neck appearing. But yeah, it does take you somewhat away from the sincerity of the moment. You may have a chuckle when you see Godzilla, but he's terrifying. He's terrifying the people of Odo Island. Let me tell you,
he certainly is. I would be kind of thrilled to, on my commute to work one morning, just see that in the distance. Yeah. I would be pretty thrilled. I would go right for it too. You wouldn't see me running away from that. Yeah.
Yeah, but they scream, right? And then everyone kind of runs away, screaming Godzilla, and then I think you hear you see the scene you're describing, the tail lying in the sand, the footprints in the sand.
I have no idea how they made it, but wow, beautiful.
Yeah. But it's a hell of an introduction for sure.
Yeah. Can we briefly talk about how seemingly every cinematic government in every disaster movie always decides to never go with letting the public know that there's an impending disaster.
Yeah.
They always we don't want anyone to panic, so we're not going to tell anyone about it.
Sure. And it's a bit heavier with this one, right? Because that's all based upon essentially the atomic lobby are pushing for this to remain quiet because it's related to atomic weapons or what have you.
Mhm.
But yeah, absolutely. It's another trope. I wonder what the narrative would be if it was the alternative, right? Um,
Everybody get the fuck out.
yeah. But regardless, like you can do that. Same as that meteor that's coming down to Earth. Godzilla will arrive. We
Right.
know that will happen, right? That's the whole point of this
Right.
venture, right? So regardless of what you choose to do, it's coming either way, right?
Yeah.
So what comes after that?
Well,
Oh,
there's some really
yep,
fun military flexing
yep,
where they are playing some very patriotic music. We're
yep,
seeing actual naval ships
yep.
dropping depth charges into the ocean. It's sort of an opening salvo being used against Godzilla. And I was curious, do we think this is footage from World War II?
Yeah, absolutely. You do get these odd montages of just military maneuvers, I
Yeah.
suppose.
Yeah.
And yeah, you could quite easily make the argument that they may be lifted from other news pieces because
Right.
it's really hard to imagine it, but yeah, those kind of things would be in the news every single day if you're fighting a war, right? This is what we're up to. This is what we're succeeding at,
Mm,
all for your benefit, right?
yeah.
But it definitely feels very patriotic. Those montages,
Definitely.
yeah, it's yeah, kind of militaristic kind of patriotism.
Right.
Um,
Maybe
so,
perhaps a
yeah.
reclaiming of face or an attempt at reclaiming face.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. I think that's really relevant, not just in a military sense, but also in a societal sense. The way Tokyo is presented is very that kind of Western perspective of it being kind of high tech and
Yeah.
always kind of doing what the next modern thing is, even if it seems outdated to us now, like the trains,
Right.
electron pylons, right? The kind of neon gas, what do we call those neon lights surrounding businesses.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I think they're presented in that way for a very specific reason. But I guess I say that, and I could be entirely wrong, right? Because I don't think Toho is making this for a worldwide audience, right? They're
Mm.
happy to take that 25 grand, whatever it was, from America.
Yeah. Make this yours.
But then again, if the idea is to lift spirits, we're not trying to lift American spirits, we're trying to lift Japanese spirits.
Sure.
Yeah, they're not like out of control. They're very well organized, right, in their responses, whether it's civilian or military. So yeah, I could see the whole saving face thing is a part of the presentation of this movie. Yeah,
Yeah.
and you can
What,
totally get that, right? You can totally understand that in the wake of the Second World War.
of course. And what do we think of the human drama as a whole in this movie? Because I I want to know if it works for you, because the American Godzilla movies later on, they always stumble on this, at least in my opinion. I only want to see kaiju fighting each other.
Yeah, yeah,
And most of the Japanese movies do too. I can't even remember, out of the handful of older Godzilla movies I've seen, any of the human sides of those
yeah.
stories. And in recent memory, only Godzilla -1 was able to really make the human characters matter, at least for me.
Okay.
And here we have a gal, Emiko,
Yep.
who is engaged to be married to scowly eye patch scientist Serizawa.
That's
He's
right.
kind of this like Oppenheimer-ish
Yep,
stand-in.
that's exactly who he is. Yep.
Yeah, and but she's at the same time dating the Marine Ogata, who I
Yep.
briefly mentioned earlier, and she's hiding this from Serizawa and her father, who is Dr. Yamane.
Yep.
And we have him with all of his, research, presenting his findings and research to the government.
Yep.
And Serizawa also at the same time is working on this big master plan
Right.
it's not really a plan to take down Godzilla at the beginning of the movie, but it eventually becomes the means by which Japan takes down Godzilla. So does all this work? Is this
Right. It's a good question.
hold our interest?
So with the Dr. Yamana, his conflict is he wants to study Godzilla in a world that wants to destroy Godzilla.
Yes.
With Emiko, she does tie everyone together, but it's more of a love issue.
Yeah.
Dr. Zerazawa, he is, again, it's kind of tropish with the eye patch.
Mm-hmm.
And I might be reading into it too much, but at one point, a journalist comes to interview Dr. Zerazawa, and he mentions, "Oh, we spoke to a German man in Switzerland, and he said your weapon could solve this issue." So I think it harkens back to the Japan that was, right, the Axis power with its ties to Germany. However, his conflict isn't so much love; it's more the same one Oppenheimer had, like, what have I created? Can I live with myself? We'll come back to that with what I've created. And then, was it Ogata? He's, I don't know what he is, your die-in-the-wall kind of hero, always trying to do the right thing,
Right.
is in love with the pretty girl.
For the quote-unquote main character, he gets a surprisingly little amount of screen time.
Yeah, right, and I think that's a fair way of describing him as just a main character without much going on. I suppose you're always kind of waiting for Godzilla to show up and enjoy those moments. Of all of those characters, I enjoyed Dr. Yamane the most.
Right.
He does get a lot of time.
I mean, my boy Serizawa is no slouch either. That eye patch really makes for screen presence, powerful screen presence.
Absolutely. And I think even like the actor they cast for it, because he has the kind of facial
he's so
features.
glowering. Oh.
Yeah, and he's glowering, right? He's he's presented as a villain, but he certainly isn't, right?
No, he's got a heart of gold.
So I think he certainly stands out on the physical presentation side of things. The question is, like, are these human interactions, like, that's that narrative, put muscle on the skeleton? I don't have any problems when it comes to anything. Like, certainly when I think about what I didn't like about this movie, like, I don't think about that much at all.
Right.
And I remember the characters. Like, I remember the two doctors quite well.
Yeah, I think it works here a hell of a lot more than it does for modern
ones, yeah.
Godzilla movies. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess we could also now speak to Godzilla's first rampage, which doesn't even happen until the 48-minute mark.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
It's just wild.
And it's a 90-minute movie, hour and a half, the Japanese version.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a slim movie, and you get all these shots of real crowds running away, superimposed with Godzilla in the background. He's melting stuff. He's destroying things, swatting planes.
Yep. Marching through. There's machine guns and tanks, right?
Yeah.
But like you say, it doesn't come to the 45th minute. You don't feel like you're being, like, you're being dragged along. It feels like a natural insertion to the movie. It's you're not looking at your wrist waiting for Godzilla to show up, checking the time.
Right. That the theme music is playing liberally now.
Yeah, that's right. I think it's what you want to see. It's Godzilla breaking up a diorama.
Yes.
I really enjoy.
Boy, is it.
I mean, maybe you do a better job of describing it, but like the thing that stood out to me, it's kind of heartbreaking. Is there's one part where a mum is like crowding.
Yeah.
Like she's on her knees, holding her two children.
We're going to join Daddy soon.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. We're going to join Dad.
Yeah.
And it kind of speaks again to that kind of Japanese war experience.
Yes.
Collective memory. And again, imagine being the Japanese person watching that. There's probably a lot of people that could kind of relate to it.
Yeah.
6 degrees of separation, however many you need, right?
Right.
But it's definitely been put there for a reason, right? Not just to demonstrate the horror that people are feeling at that time, but to make that connection to nuclear weapons, to the Second World War.
For sure.
Compelling stuff, yeah.
Yeah. And before we get too far away from it, I just want to make a brief mention that the government's plan to erect a 100-foot tall electric fence around the coast, bonkers.
Yeah, not just one though, right? Like, I think it's a series of electric fences.
Absolutely bonkers.
It is, but at the same time, it's like you have to make a decision, right? The moment has been thrust upon you. What do you do? And I love it. That's the beauty of committees, right? What's that thing like? If you were to get a committee to design a horse, they would give you a camel or whatever.
Sure.
And we've all been there in meetings where it's like, this is far more convoluted.
Some guy in the back just, what about
this?
What about a wall?
Yeah.
We could build a wall.
My favorite committee meeting to think of was when Pizza Hut, a long time ago, they released something called a cheeseburger pizza, where cheeseburger patties were inserted into the crust that surrounds the pizza. And I was just like, only in a, I want to be in that committee meeting where this absolute icon, titan of industry, is like, how about?
No one else. No one else had an idea that day?
Yeah. So yeah, the kind of countermeasures put up by the government here. Yep. Yeah. 3 electric fences in a row. Not sure there's much else going on there other than your typical military kind of machine guns and tanks.
Sure.
But yeah, it's all about these electric fences. Which, I mean, hey, maybe that's where Jurassic Park stole the idea from.
Yeah.
Electric fences are a big part of that movie, right?
For sure. And we think we're doomed until the Air Force shows up.
Yeah.
And then we get a pretty cool music sting when that happens. I marked down that it was pretty cool when they show up.
So he takes a pounding, right? And then he just calls it a day.
He calls it a day. Yeah. I'm gonna
kind of
this off.
inconclusive, right?
But I'll be back.
Yeah, and he's done a fair amount of damage. You have the reporters naming all the different districts of Tokyo and how they're all ablaze.
Yes, and
so you do have these special effects of kind of fire superimposed on a
shots of the city, the rumble and the ruins. Yeah, there are also images of the rescue workers and hospital wards for evacuees and shots of the dead, children crying. It's all surprisingly impactful.
And to that point as well, it's when you get to that kind of makeshift hospital scene, there's a doctor or scientist using a Geiger counter on the children, and it's going off, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of radioactive reaction. So we know Godzilla's radioactive. We already knew he was radioactive from the footprint they measured on Odo Island, but again, they're tying it all back to the events in Hiroshima or Nagasaki. Mm-hmm. But even the fire they talk about in Tokyo, like Tokyo got firebombed pretty terribly during the Second World War as well. So these are real kind of like living memories for the Japanese.
Yeah, people like skin was literally melting off of people.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Though to undercut that horrible image, I did mark down a funny moment, which is when I believe Emiko and the reporter come to visit Serizawa and ask him about his oxygen destroyer, and he says, "What oxygen destroyer?"
That's right. Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about, and pointedly looks at Emiko.
Yeah, I know exactly the moment you mean. Yeah, it's a charade that quickly gets dissected and broken down, right?
Yeah, you're not fooling anybody, buddy. Yeah. With that good eye.
Building characters, right?
Yeah.
Building the importance, like, we this must be very important.
Right. And I just wanted to call out 2 more scenes, really. There's a haunting sequence. I thought it was pretty incredible, of a children's choir singing near.
Oh yeah.
The movie, very artistic.
Yeah, it is. That is probably the most artistic, sentimental part, and the lyrics are just like I can't remember. It's like pity us. Oh, whoa, times are tough. We just want peace. But it is just a school choir singing in perfect like harmony together. It's a very solemn moment, right?
Right.
And again, I don't want to hark on this too much, but you could understand people seeing that in the movie theater, and that kind of collective kind of misery might be too strong a word or the wrong word. Collective sorrow.
Yeah. After they finished filming it, director Honda was like, "Yep, this is what's going to get us in the Criterion Collection."
Yeah. My boy Godzilla. That's a fine collection. It's amazing how many movies show up on that. I wonder, like, maybe I'm an idiot. I don't know too much about the Criterion Collection. But literally any Japanese movie I watch, which is, pre 1990, that Criterion collection.
You're gonna see that wheel.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Yeah. The ending of the movie as well.
Yep.
An almost dreamlike dive sequence from
It is, isn't it?
taken from the point of view of Serizawa, who selflessly says, if anyone's going to use the oxygen destroyer, it's going to be me, and I'm going to make sure it gets destroyed after it's used.
So that's the Oppenheimer thing, is like he knows what he's created, and he knows the potential destructive power of it, which would, end all life essentially.
Right.
But the decision he makes is the much more noble one, right? Because you have to remember Oppenheimer, an American, created the bomb that got used on the Japanese. Right. The Japanese don't want this to happen to anyone. Okay, right. That's why they're better morally, because he not only destroys his research, he destroys himself. He wants to go down with the ship, so no one can ever create this thing ever. So they're taking control of the issue, and they're being the better person because they're ending it, right?
Mm-hmm. And we even see also the resolution of Dr. Yamane's conflict play out. We are not going to study this incredible life form. We are going to destroy it.
Yeah, we went with the typical option, and we should not pass on this. Godzilla's death scene itself, the death throes are remarkable. You pity this monster. He's suffering,
boiled alive.
Yeah, essentially boiled alive in the sea, and he's thrashing around on the surface of the sea and wailing and screeching. And I'm pretty sure it ends with their skeleton just kind of drifting down to the coast. But it is
mirroring the fish tank earlier in the movie.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, when we see it first, the oxygen bomb first used. But it's a moving death scene. I think a lot. If you could see someone watching this movie purely for the shits and giggles of, look at this monster, look at these dioramas, look at the destruction, getting some joy out of it, and that's fair enough. But Godzilla gets a good send off. It's legitimate and it's sincere. It's a very sincere movie. And I just to go back to an earlier scene, and maybe it's the biggest takeaway from this movie as a franchise in some regards. I think earlier on, before Godzilla shows up in Tokyo Bay and starts destroying the place, there's people on a boat, and they're having some kind of functional party on the kind of the main deck of the ship, and then Godzilla appears rising from the ocean, and it's when you get the first gentleman looking to the distance, not at the camera, and screaming, "It's Godzilla!" and then everyone goes kind of bananas. But to me, that's another thing of this franchise, is the whole a Japanese fella kind of just yelling, "Here's Godzilla," in a panic.
Definitely. Completely agree. Those moments, I think, summarize what a lot of people think of when they think of Godzilla, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If you were to take two things from the franchise, it's the destruction scenes and someone yelling at
crowds.
Which is why this movie's so good, because you watch it and you're like, wow, there's a lot more to this movie. I'd be curious to see how the other ones compare to it, but this one has a lot of soul, not just in its story, but also the way it's presented. The whole black and white color was a thing there, but they know they're working with black and white because they know how to use shadows, even the costume.
Very much so.
Yeah, the costumes are typically they're wearing white, so they know how to play with these kind of tones, and it's a very pretty movie in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I don't even know when color enters into the franchise. I'm excited to see.
Right.
But overall, a powerful start to the whole thing. You would almost think after that death scene that Godzilla would not be around for the sequel.
Yeah, we've answered the question, absolutely.
but we might be surprised in our next episode.
Right. Which I'm equally looking forward to, is just seeing where this is going to go. But it is a very kind of final kind of ending. We've resolved all of the issues. Yeah. We're all patting ourselves, and there's a joyous celebration.
Congratulatory. Yep.
Yeah, patting ourselves on the back, for sure. And it's also kind of interesting, is what is the motivation there to make the second one? Because from the producers and the director's standpoint, it's like, okay, so what is the meaning?
Yeah.
Why do this if we've done that? Right. But as we've seen with a lot of modern sequels, Gladiator 2 being the most despicable of them.
Money.
Yeah, or nostalgia.
Well, still stands. Very powerful start to the franchise.
Yep.
We're both, I think, stoked to see where it goes.
Yep. Recommend it. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's a quick, easy 90 minutes. Your life will be better for watching this, for sure.
Genuinely. And along with the idea of moving forward, let's move on over to Kaiju Corner. And here in Kaiju Corner, we discuss the kaiju of the film. This week, there's only one kaiju.
Yeah.
I mean, we can disregard the trilobites. But we're kind of forced to give Godzilla the proper respect and reverence this time. And I have some stats.
Hit me up.
All right. Godzilla is 165 feet tall this time around. Yep. Production originally brought a manga illustrator named Wasuke Abe on board to design the monster, and the initial design was this kind of humanoid beast with a mushroom cloud head. And this
I
reference,
need to see that.
I know. I want to see
this
it.
guy?
I couldn't find it, but maybe you can.
Can't find it? Oh, okay.
His name's Wasuke Abe. Maybe it's out there somewhere. Yeah. The reference drawing later morphed into a combination of a T-Rex, iguanodon, and a stegosaurus with crocodile-like skin that may have accidentally or purposefully emulated radiation burns.
Yep, Godzilla is a dinosaur. That's...
Yeah.
It
is a dinosaur, an amalgamation of a few different types.
In presentation and in canon, they're a dinosaur.
Right. This sort of middle evolution of a Jurassic period kaiju hiding away in a deep sea cave. And the movie does even hint that there are other members of the species, which we go. That's our sequel bait.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's fair. That's the foreshadowing from Mothra.
Yes. And Godzilla is, according to the movie, driven from this habitat by repeated underwater H-bomb tests. Yep. Nakajima, the man in the suit, he was apparently filmed at 72 frames per second, which gave him his famously slow and halting movement, because it was played, even though it was filmed at 72 frames per second, it was played for audiences at 24 frames per second.
Okay.
So it gives him this kind of halting, jarring quality.
I wonder if they managed to keep that role for future Godzilla movies, because they must I don't know anything really about this movie, but he must be an absolute icon of Japanese movies if he's been able to keep that role for decades, right?
He is, and I believe he is our man in the suit for quite a while, but we'll come back to that during the next episode.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. That's the fun part, right?
Yeah, it really is. And also Godzilla's atomic breath is really interesting in this one. They didn't even...
That's kind of frosty. If you didn't have the Geiger counters, and the fire, you would think it was a freeze ray. The way it kind of interacts with the electrical pylons.
Absolutely. It's not a beam like it is in later movies.
Yeah.
No, during filming, they called it his incandescent light rather than his atomic breath. And
it's a beautiful thing to describe it.
I know.
You have an incandescent light about you, Raymond.
Oh, thank you, Sam. You do too. Not right
it's very
now.
Destructive.
But you do at times.
Yeah. Once I brush my teeth, it goes away. But for the most part.
Yeah, it's just this kind of mist that sort of melts power lines and buildings.
It is very misty. That was the word in my mind, kind of foggy, misty. Yeah.
Yeah. As for powers and abilities, this is also courtesy of Wikizilla. The Big G's only major powers and abilities in this movie are the
arithmetic. Spelling.
Well, that wasn't on the website, but I totally believe you. Yeah, that's canon. Other than the aforementioned light. They list his amphibiousness as a
Yep.
power, and just physical animal traits. So tail, fangs, brute
Yep.
force, and
Yep.
so on. But also durability, which you mentioned earlier.
Sure. Yep, he takes a pounding.
Takes an absolute beating and keeps on going. Its only real weakness in the movie is the oxygen destroyer, which is a pretty big weakness. It dissolves his entire body to a skeleton, after all.
Yep.
But Godzilla does have a hint of a personality in this movie, like when he's destroying
That winning smile when he first shows up.
There's that winning smile.
Little cheeky wink to the camera.
Yeah, he kind of destroys a clock tower out of spite. And he's just like making these little ineffectual swipes with his baby arms at the fighter jets. So
hates a clock tower.
Yeah,
that's what you need to know about Godzilla.
Right. And I don't think we can't judge Godzilla against another kaiju here. So let's just out of
bask in the incandescent light of Godzilla.
Yes, let's bask in his light for a moment. Godzilla, you take it away this week.
You did it.
You did a good job. And I guess we should move along to our MVP NPC award.
Yeah, so this is where we choose just a random background character who kind of stole our hearts or stood out to us, right?
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, happily. I'm going to be cheeky. I have two.
Okay.
I know who it
I also
is.
have two.
Okay, great. Hopefully they don't overlap.
It's going to be a packed race. We'll see.
Yeah, that's right. So the first one, and he's definitely stolen my heart a little bit, to go back to the committee meeting where Dr. Yamane kind of outlines Godzilla. You have two kind of lobbies present. One is the nuclear kind of lobby who are very hesitant to have this information released. And then you kind of have the civilian lobby who very much want this information out there because the people need to know. And there's this friction between the committee that supports the nuclear branch. They have a spokesman who sits in the middle of these gentlemen, and he's explaining why we can't talk about this. And while he's doing this kind of impassioned plea and arguing with a lady from the opposing camp, there is a gentleman to, I suppose, his left, our right, sitting down next to him, and he just looks at him with such loving, tender eyes and a smile, because I'm sure the actor was just told, look at this man, show your agreement and support through your facial gestures. But it very much looks like he's in love with this man next to him, which is very endearing and kind of takes you away somewhat from the moment. But really, he has a very charming smile and like loving look in his eye during this kind of very frantic, emotionally fraught moment. So it's a good contrast. And my second one, when Godzilla, around the 50-minute mark, I'd say, is destroying Tokyo.
Yeah.
You have a series of journalists reporting from the scene.
The guys on top of the tower?
Yeah, that's right. So there's like this radio tower. I'm not sure what kind of structure it is. They're up there on the platform describing what's coming. Godzilla does what he has to do, and he takes them down, and you hear them screaming as the tower collapses. I was like, good for you guys. You did what you had to do, and you lost, you're willing to give your life. Very Japanese thing, right? Very much giving your life for your duty. And they're there to the end. So I credit those guys for sticking it out when most men would have fled. Right?
Oh, I would have fled immediately.
Well, I mean, earlier you said you'd run straight to Godzilla, so I'm not sure. I don't know whose side you're on. So.
I am sending mixed signals, aren't I?
Yeah. But when shit gets real, perhaps you would flee.
True. So those are two amazing proposed candidates for our first MVP NPC award. The two I'm bringing to the table, number one, this is also a group. It's a little unconventional, but this is our first
That's the point.
real MVP NPC award, so I think there's room for experimentation here. But it is the unseen Budapest Screen Quartet that...
Oh, wow, that's a shout.
That Ogata is going to take Emiko to.
Oh, okay. No, sorry. I was on a completely different wavelength. Yes, you're right. He has to cancel the plan. This is pretty early on, right? This is when
it's their first scene. Yeah.
Yeah, it's their first scene, right? And he basically tells her to go see it. Okay, so why
Yes.
that?
Well, I can
Them.
only imagine that the quartet's all stringed up and ready to go, and then they're just
Just like
unceremoniously cut
tapping their
from the
feet,
movie.
looking at their wristwatch.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
are these two guys? We
Where's our
sold
scene?
exactly 2 tickets.
Yeah, where's our scene? So I think what fun we could have had with them, and
Sure, absolutely.
maybe they deserve this honor. And then
I'm really hoping it'd be like, you know, the Benny Hill sound. Just
yeah,
Godzilla running around to that sound.
chasing. Oh, sure. And my other option is, or my other nomination rather, the group of old ladies who just tut and ignore the scientists when they're told. The Odo Island ladies, by the way.
Yep. Okay. Yeah.
They just tut away and ignore, completely disregard the scientists telling them that the well in their village is now radioactive. So we now have
What is it about them? All right, you're gonna have to give me more than just, you know, they tut.
they're tutting. They're stereotypical old Asian ladies.
Okay, right.
They're
That's
doing
great. That's
great.
what I want to hear.
They had
Yep.
one simple job to
They
do,
know-
and
they know better, right?
they inhabited that character.
They beautifully summarized the what do you call it? The friction of
archetype.
modernity and tradition.
Yes, they really did. So who do we think? I like your boardroom or the committee member suggestion. That's a clear front runner.
I would definitely ask you or anyone listening to go back and just see how adoringly he watches his his colleague.
I didn't pick it out, so
okay.
I'll have to go back.
Maybe that's a damning critique, perhaps.
Next watch. No, not necessarily.
Do you know what? I really love the idea of your Budapest string quartet. Not my only criticism is they're a reference. You don't see them, but I think the multiverses, right? There's a movie there. Let's find out what their story is as this Godzilla thing's happening, right? Let's get it from their perspective rather than. Because I really want to know about those guys now. Sure. So I'm a bit more kind of inclined to those than I am the old ladies. But don't get me wrong, I love a traditional Japanese elderly lady. Out. So between those two, I think we're both too pleasant to
make a case for our own.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. Yeah, against one another.
Let's give it to the quartet.
All right, well, the Budapest Quartet. If it wasn't for you, where would this movie even go? Right?
I know. Congratulations, boys.
Yeah, they certainly have a more narrative impact than this gentleman staring at that person. So yeah, absolutely. I think that's
true. I'm glad we focused on narrative here.
Because that's what NPCs are all about.
Absolutely. And we have been running quite long already, so I think we need to skedaddle over to our very last segment, which is the segment has no name yet. So it is just whatever we all have watched outside of the Godzilla franchise recently, or whatever we've watched, read, seen.
So very quickly, a lot, but I guess the two I want to talk about, I'm very much going to date myself, but I went back and watched some old movies of my childhood-ish. One was the original Naked Gun movie with Leslie Nielsen.
Wow, and they just announced a remake.
Yeah, I saw the trailer. I mean, I don't really have too much to say about that. And then the other night, we watched Team America. I don't know if this is overthinking it. I just wonder if those movies could get made this day. And I think that's, if the answer is no, then that's a real shame. This is very hyperbolic. As I was watching Team America, I was thinking, you know what? Matt Stone and Trey Parker, quite possibly two of the best comedic writers of the modern era. I know it's very on the nose kind of comedy and slightly I don't know what the right word is, un-PC or whatever, but
it's crass,
point, right? It's crass,
yes, but
with meaning behind the crassness.
Yes.
But genuinely fantastic writers, and they don't limit themselves, right? They've got the Book of Mormon musical, TV shows, movies, no doubt other stuff. But yeah, no, I was very glad to rewatch them, and yeah, I was curious if they could get made anymore. Same with again, dating myself, the Austin Power movies, right?
Ooh, yeah.
Because all of these, I think you could maybe I can't speak so confidently about the Naked Gun, but like Team America and the one I just mentioned there, Austin Powers, were big bloody deals. Like, there's a reason there were 3 Austin Powers movies.
I loved the Austin Powers movies, and I tried to introduce my wife to them, and the humor did not translate to the Korean language. So
No, but also I just wonder if, like, again with Team America, is like we had a moment in time where this was okay and it resonated, and I don't know if it would get made because it doesn't quite resonate or because it's just a bit too crass. I'm not sure which one of those is accurate, if either one are.
right.
But you watch them thinking like, this is great, and I'm not and I think it was the best product of its time in some regards. That's a pretty broad statement. Anyhow, I was happy to revisit both of those. Very good movies. Naked Gun is it's just simply slapstick fun. If you're upset with that movie, then it's you. It's not the movie, really.
Right. You can't get mad at puppets.
No, you can't get mad at puppets. That's
Never.
a new name for this podcast.
You can't get mad at puppets.
That's a great title. Where did you get that from?
Episode 2, coming soon.
Yeah, that's right. That's a great line.
Thank you. I have 2 as well. I finished reading, and we've talked about her off the podcast, but I finished reading Han Gang's Human Acts recently.
This is the Korean lady that won the Nobel Prize.
Yes, she won the Nobel Prize for Fiction, beating out our boy Haruki Murakami.
Yeah,
Maybe
I think
more
he's always
going to
be the bridesmaid, isn't he? Yeah, I think he might be the bridesmaid for a while.
Yes, but
I'm upset for him. I'm not too upset.
Sure, I won't get into whether I think one of them should have won or not.
Yeah, who cares, right?
It doesn't matter. It's purely symbolic, this award.
Yeah.
I was very moved by Human Acts, and for anyone who does not know, it is a story ostensibly about the Gwangju student uprisings in 1980s Korea. And these are student uprisings in response to a military dictatorship which was slowly eroding citizens' rights and had declared martial law.
Which is really pertinent to Korea today, right?
Right.
For anyone who doesn't follow Korean politics, right?
Right. And the military was basically just gunning down citizens in the street. One of these citizens is a middle school boy, and that is the central point of this book. All of the action revolves around that. The whole book is told in the second person, addressing you, the reader, and the you, whoever the you is, shifts from chapter to chapter, as does the main character of each chapter. The blurbs on the book they all make this huge rigmarole of calling the book harrowing. I don't agree with that assessment or that descriptor, I suppose. I found the book, rather than harrowing, to be aching. It aches with this sadness. And there's the penultimate chapter of the book is told from the point of view of the boy's mother, 20 years removed from the incident. And it opens on her as a doddering old lady who sees, or thinks she sees, her dead son walking past in a crowd, and she starts hobbling after him and can't keep up.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I, as someone who recently lost someone important to me in my own life, it resonated with me on a level that it sort of caught me off guard.
Yeah.
I teared up. I empathize with this feeling, and I think anyone would who has lost someone close to them, or who especially has lost a child, pet, what have you. The feeling that I would give anything to see this person for 10 minutes, for an hour, for 10 seconds.
The hardest one of that kind of interaction I've had with any media, and it's insane. Have you? I don't know if it's Pixar, but it's a Hollywood animated movie. It's called Onward. I think Chris.
I have not seen Onward. No.
if you were to look at the poster, you would just think like this is just a Hollywood
Standard
animated
Pixar movie. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Pixar, whoever it is. But the whole story is exactly what you're describing. It's two young boys, but they're monsters.
They're trying to see their dad again.
Their dad who's passed away. They have this opportunity to see their dad, and watching that as someone who's lost a parent at a relatively young age, I couldn't imagine if you were to sit in a movie theater and you were a young child who had lost a parent, which tragically happens, right?
Yes.
I don't know how you could sit through that movie without bawling your eyes. So part of me was pissed off with the producers, like, how could you emotionally do this to someone? Like, especially a child, which is your audience, essentially, right? But no, so I love it when, media, I guess with books, it's almost a bit more poignant.
Yeah.
Because we're kind of in control of consuming it.
You're directing the
film, exactly,
quote unquote, in your head. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So no, I can appreciate how a book like that can instantly have a bit more of a special place on your bookshelf than some of the others. You've kind of like you'll notice that one, and you'll have a connection with that for quite some time, right?
For sure, it was very affecting. My only critique, and I had the same critique of her previously translated book, The Vegetarian. It's too slight. It's too small of a book. I wish there was more of it to read, which is in a way is a compliment.
I think there's a lot of joy to take from impactful short books.
Yeah.
When you're that kind of completionist monkey brain we have of we need to read this book and we need to finish it and
finish it as soon as possible just so I can say I've read it.
Exactly. I don't know what it is about our monkey brains that make us do that, but sometimes those short ones, they fill up a big space.
Yeah. And my other one I'll be much, much briefer with. My wife and I just started watching the latest season of Love, Death, and Robots, which dropped a few days ago on Netflix.
Thank you.
It's just as good as we remembered the other seasons as being. It's just a lot of fun. I love bite-sized animation.
Yeah. No, those are very entertaining. I some of them I found a bit.
It's a mixed bag. It always is. It's an anthology.
Yeah, okay.
There's gonna be some that are stinkers, but
yeah. Oh, that's cool. Nice one. I look forward to watching that.
And there we have it, Sam. We've done it.
Beautiful.
We've finished our first Godzilla podcast. We will be back next week with 1955's Godzilla Raids Again.
Yeah. Godzilla Raids Again, is that the title?
Godzilla Raids Again, that's the title. And surprise, Godzilla survived being liquefied.
It just makes me think of Indiana Jones, right? Raiders of the Lost Ark. Godzilla rides again? What's that?
He's going to be right? He's going to be swinging in on a rope with a hat and
absolutely, and
his bullwhip.
Short Round will be there.
Yeah,
that's the American-Japanese relationship connection we can make here.
Yikes. Well, this is as good a place to leave us as any. If you want to get in touch with us, you can email us at gspotpod@gmail.com. G, rather than being one letter, is GEE. And we may or may not be on other forms of social media at time of posting or at time of you listening, but certainly not yet while we're recording this. Please be patient with us.
Yeah, nice one. Thank you, Raymond.
Yeah, thank you, Sam. It was a lot of fun. I look forward to continuing this journey with you.
Yeah, same, absolutely.
To everyone else, have a very monstrous day.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Godzilla, very much.
We salute you.
Yeah, we salute you, absolutely. May you ride again.
May you, yes.
Wherever you are.
Goodbye.